Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for staying tuned, hanging out for double AF1, even though it's just 1A, even though I have 2 A's in my name. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We will have updates and analysis from the Australian Grand Prix, considering this is the Australian Grand Prix qualifying analysis. We hope that we have an amazing series of racing. I know that the qualifying and Grand Prix of China might become a little late, and I apologize for that because this is a brand new podcast. We respectively, Double A, Aaron and Andrea, have VIP passes to the Thermal Grand Prix of Thermal with an IndyCar, because racing is a wonderful thing. And we don't just watch F1, we watch IMSA racing and GT3, which is within Europe, and IndyCar, World Endurance Cross, or World Endurance Championship, and a whole bunch of things. So we have the lamb tartare, which is a big dish in Australia, not specifically lamb tartare, but lamb in and of itself. So we decided we'd do something with that would go great with anything else within the states of Australia and the country of Australia. Let us know what you think about it. We'll be posting it tomorrow along with the recipe of generally what I have followed to make the recipe. There's a lot of variables that can make it yours, so it's not a set in stone of any kind. But first and foremost, I know that defunds us, but whiskey's delicious, and it's been 1:12 in the morning. So accordingly, this is our very first F1 trading card unraveling, or unpackaging, if you will. It's not really an unboxing, but for F1, oh, this is just, anyway, here we go. Oh, wow. An Oscar Piastri. Evidently a rookie card. I don't think it's a rookie card because this 2023. And, you know, it might be his rookie card. But it's from the McLaren F1 team. From the day, the Formula One Qatar Grand Prix 2023. I'm not sure if this is when he won his first sprint race. I think that might have been the day. This is a card from the Fernando Alonso Aramco Formula F1 team. He's 5'7", wow, 150 pounds. According to the back of these cards. So there's a Fernando Alonso holographic along with a Oscar Piastri holographic. Wow, I got some really great stuff within this. David Coulthard Legends holographic, at least what I call a holographic, because I'm used to collecting Pokemon cards. F1 card. This is a David Coulthard F1 Legend number 196, which by all means is pretty cool in and of itself. We have the Red Bull Racing Max Verstappen recharged holographic card. Rec 1 is what it says on the back of this. It says, having commenced the Formula One and Miami Grand Prix 2023 from 9th on the grid, Max Verstappen delivered a series of spectacular overtakes to secure maximum points in Florida, after sensationally skipping beyond Kevin Magnussen and Charles Leclerc in a one-fell swoop, and later passing George Russell with a shrewd move on turn 17. The Dutchman put teammate Sergio Perez in his back mirrors on the penultimate lap. Alright, admittedly, everybody, the RB19, that's a card I might keep. more than likely, I may keep. Oh my word. And then a future stars, F2. Gabriel Bortoleto, F2 card. I'm not saying it's an F1 rookie card. I don't know cards well enough at this moment, but for those 5 cards, that's what you just saw. And I'm excited to unbox them all. I'll be putting them up on one of my, I guess for lack of a better term, websites to see how much any of them are worth. They may be up on my future Etsy site just to see how much they're worth, and you can buy them for what they are if you're into card collecting. If not, Andrea and I have been working on the teams. A little bit of whiskey because it's 1:10 in the morning now because I've been talking about F1 nonstop. Thank you for coming to the AA podcast, everyone. We cannot thank you enough. It's time to open one single card pack. We will be opening another tomorrow for our race review, but we'll also be posting tonight with this episode the race recipe for tomorrow's race, which is lamb tartare, because in Australia they eat a lot of lamb. Andrea and myself, the other A of AA F1 podcast, have been working on a cookbook that follows the F1 racing calendar all throughout the world. And seeing as Australia eats a lot of lamb, we were like, let's figure out a couple things that do with lamb. And so we've got lamb tartare as our feature recipe that will go great with salad. Or as far as V-carb goes, I've already mentioned that Yuki Tsunoda and Isaac Hadjar made some pretty great results over qualifying. I'm really hoping that they can take that and convert it into some, if not race wins, if not race podiums respectively, some good points. V-carb needs some good points because last year they fell to, I want to say, 9th, which they started off strong. Everything was great. And then Alpine came in during the Sao Paulo, Brazil, and they got, a bunch of points over everybody over one race, which ended up being like a $13 million race. And they trumped a lot of people within one race towards the end of the year. So I'm hoping that V-carb, which is Yuki Tsunoda and Isaac Hadjar, can prove enough consistency to become, if not, back markers. I really don't want you guys to be back markers because you're a sister team to Red Bull. And this year is proving so far to be looking pretty good for you guys, that at least hopefully points being you guys end up middle of the pack. If not middle of the pack, to not the backfield. If you're not going to be 5th, I hope you guys are 6th or 7th, because that's better than 9th as opposed to last year. And that's really what I'm hoping here. Kick Sauber, as far as Gabriel Bortoleto and Nico Hulkenberg, I don't really know if I've got a lot of faith in you guys. I mean, things looked really good within qualifying. And I know that Bortoleto, I don't have the numbers on hand at the moment in the screen in front of me, but you looked much better than Nico Hulkenberg. And as far as the rookies go, that's all we really need. Like, that's excellent. Like, we want that from you, because Nico Hulkenberg is no slouch. He's a great racer. He won a lot of points for Haas last year, and if you can outshow him, that's only going to be great for your career. I know that you were, F2, F3 champion, respectively. And we're all behind you. We want you to succeed. That's not a bad thing whatsoever. So, with all due respect, please just kick his ass. Kick, like, nothing against you, Hulkenberg. Just, yeah, let's see how the Sauber boys go. Apologies for that, everyone. My camera ran out of battery. Real quick, I'm going to go through team by team who I think will out-classify each other, whether it's in race pace or qualifying pace. As far as McLaren, I'm going to say that Norris is going to outclass Piastri as far as qualifying goes. Norris, excellent qualifier. Piastri, also excellent qualifier. That's neither here nor there. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on anybody as far as anything goes, but Norris is going to, with all due respect, beat the living piss out of Piastri this season. He's got a lot of things on his brain as far as could he have challenged for the title last year? He could have. He had a couple of mistakes that were a little too big. There was, mind you, Verstappen being Verstappen from 2016, 2017, 2018 in Mexico, where admittedly, as a Verstappen fan, he was kind of driving like an ass. I mean, as a Verstappen fan, 2024 Mexico, admittedly, I knew he was driving even with yeah, you deserve a 20-second penalty. I did not even contest those penalties. He was driving very aggressively, too aggressively. But as an American, as somebody who lives in Pacific Standard Time on the California coast, who watches a decent amount of basketball, there were a few things that he did within that Mexico race last year where, as unpopular as an opinion as maybe, he drew the foul. And he knew what he was doing to that degree that he was like, yo, I might draw a couple fouls within a race or two races or this, that, and the other, but I'm going to get the points I need to make that championship. And by Las Vegas 2024. And I was there in the city of Las Vegas during 2024. I was there for 2023 as well. You guys will see highlights from 2023 and 2024 up as the podcast progresses. And we'll probably, me and Andrew will be there in 2025 because it's just the thing we do. We're trying to go to COTA in 2025 as well. We'll see how it works if we can make October or November. I mean, F1 in the US is not cheap, as we all know. We'll keep you guys updated as to what it is we can and can't do. But generally, at the moment, we're looking at 2024 highlights, and 2025, we're looking for a different type of experience for the Las Vegas race, because specifically the 2024 race, as far as fan experience goes, the race was fine. The fan experience in the grandstands was very lackluster. We had a great time no matter what, because when we go there, it's what we love, it's what we do. But it was much more lackluster to 2023. Neither here nor there. You guys will get an update on a previous episode, or on a prior episode after this, to what that was, especially in comparison to 2023. So anyway, McLaren, I've got Norris out qualifying Piastri and out pointing Piastri, respectively. They're the front runners of this year, so I expect that to be Norris. I'm not going to say he's going to win the championship, but he's going to outscore Piastri. He's going to out-qualify Piastri. Not 6 ways from Sunday, because even given tonight's qualifying, he was really on point, and Piastri was very close to the back of him. As far as Ferrari goes, this is going to be a tough one. I expect Leclerc, who's one of the fastest over a single lap no matter who you are, whether you're Verstappen or Norris, Leclerc is consistently one of the best over a soft tire, low fuel tank type of weight, amazing lap around any course. So I'm going to say that Leclerc is going to out qualify Hamilton. And as far as outscoring each other throughout the year, I really think that, as many people might say in the comments, and I hope you guys do, say something in the comments about what I'm thinking, because I'm just one person, and I'm just one fan of F1. I don't know. What do I know? I think that outscoring, Leclerc's going to outscore Hamilton. I know that sounds crazy, but Hamilton has a lot of work to do against that car. And it's just not something that he's used to. And it's going to take him a bit of getting used to. I know he said recently in the press conferences after qualifying that, there's some getting used to that I have to do, this, that, and the other. And yeah, that's going to be the story of the year. That he's going to keep singing that song respectively. And there's no hating on him. He's a 7-time world champion. He's one of the best that the sport has ever seen. So there's no hate on him from my side. He is one of the best. But he's in his 39th and 40th year. I'm 38 respectively. And I work in agriculture for all I know. I mean, what do I know about racing cars? I'm just sitting here talking about it. So by all means, I hope Hamilton can pull something out and at least garner them a serious contender for the Constructors' Championship this year. And I'm a Red Bull fan. But if it's between McLaren and Ferrari and Red Bull, I hope it's at least a really close fight between any one of the three, Mercedes notwithstanding. As far as Red Bull, I mean, Max Verstappen's their number one guy. He's going to outclass Lawson no matter what. I'm a fan of Lawson. I've been hoping that he was going to get the seat after Perez, and I hope that he can do something with it. I've seen what he's been able to do with this Japanese Super Formula. Notwithstanding, neither here nor there. As far as Mercedes, Russell's clearly going to outclass Kimi Antonelli. That's not to take away anything from Kimi Antonelli. He's one of the rookies on the grid. I just hope that he doesn't have as many errors, for lack of a better term, than any of the others. I mean, I already know within F1 and 2 and 3 that, and qualifying respectively, that Oliver Behrman for Haas has had a very terrible weekend for Haas. And as one of the rookies of the league, not to say it doesn't shine too bright on him. It's the first weekend of a 24 race schedule, but it doesn't look good per se. I mean, you got to be able to run a car in order to get some data, get some results. So that way, at least Ayo Komatsu knows what to cook with, if you all know what I mean. As far as Aston Martin, with all due respect to Lance Stroll, he's the nepotism pick because we all know his dad owns the team. And as much as I don't like saying that, it sounds mean. I mean, Fernando Alonso's going to outscore him and outqualify him no matter what. That is what it is. I mean, you got a 2-time world champion against Lance Stroll, somebody who beached his car in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in my opinion, voluntarily, because he was just, I don't want to do this race, and he found it out. Whether that's true or not, totally fine, not on me. I'm just a watcher, but it looked like he found it out and then just decided to beach himself because he had a lot of runoff and a runoff road to go through to rejoin the grid. But he decided to beach himself and then stand on the coast of the beach, if you will. As somebody who lives, 12 miles from the actual beach, respectively. As far as Alpine, I'm thinking that I love Pierre Gasly. He's also one of those Max Verstappen teammate killers. He was killed by Max Verstappen and set off to do his own thing. And I think that he's going to do a better job against Jack Doohan in qualifying and in race pace. I hope that Jack can bring something to the table. I mean, he's under a lot of pressure from Mr. Flavio Briatore and all of his infinite wisdom, as we know that he's been banned from the sport in and of itself, and then somehow has figured out ways to shoe himself back in, and all of a sudden we're all talking about his name again. As crazy as that may sound, cheers to you, Flavio. Like, don't know how you made it full circle of being banned from an entire sport and then being able to figure out how to weasel your way back in. Cheers to you. As far as Haas, I really think that Ocon's just going to take Behrman to the paint. 6 races from Sunday. Ocon is a great racer. I mean, I know that he made his errors here and there last year, especially in Alpine when he was going up against Gasly. We all knew about the beef that he and Gasly had with whatever that beef meant. I'm not going to look too far into it. I heard that it was about some girlfriend that I was like, whatever, man. Like, that's just some ego stuff. I'm not here for that. I'm here for just pure hard racing. He messed up in a couple races. Flavio Briatore, from what I'm understanding, tried to push him out because he'd been there for a while. Now he's with Haas, and I hope he does something with Haas because Haas has a brand new lineup. And after, garnering some pretty decent results within last year with Taiyo Komatsu, I hope that he can garner some more decent. Alright, everybody. Apologies for that. My camera ran out of battery. Oh. Okay. Apologies, everybody. I kind of forgot exactly where I stopped. So we're going to start real quick with who's going to dominate 2025 within teams. I mean, obviously, within Red Bull, we're going to start with my personal favorite. Max Verstappen is clearly going to be on Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson has a huge hill against him. That's not his fault. I mean, a lot of people are going to compare him to Checo Perez, which is fine. I get it. But Max Verstappen is the teammate killer in and of himself. He's killed Albon. He's killed Gasly. He's killed Sainz. He's killed Perez. Like, who's next at this point? Because he's going to keep destroying everybody. Because at this point, I mean, all he does, especially within Team Redline and all of the things he does outside of F1, he's going to just... all he does is eat, sleep, and drink racing. And all the people that he has around him eat, sleep, and drink racing. Racing, no matter what it is, whether it's DTM or IMSA, respectively, because as somebody of the Americas, I follow IMSA. I mean, Le Mans is one of the parts of the International Motorsport Association. Real quick, shout out to AO Racing. All about you guys. Rexy and anything involved within that Porsche 911 GT, which is within the GTD class in and of itself. And I say that because the 12 hours of Sebring is going on right now. And I'm not watching it at the moment, but I'm keeping an eye on you guys. AO Racing, you guys are my guys. Also, Cadillac Racing, anything about you guys, totally for. Considering there's a Cadillac parked in my garage at the moment. All about you guys. Anyway, Max Verstappen is like I said, the not cowboy killer, but the teammate killer. And we're going to see how he does, or how Liam Lawson does against him. At the moment, pardon me for checking the records, but he qualified 18th. He didn't do too hot. He didn't get out of Q3, which is a giant bummer. I'm a Liam Lawson fan. I've been watching him since he was in Super Formula, and he did really well in Super Formula, especially with his teammate Io Komatsu. Not Komatsu. Now that I think about it, that's the principal of Williams. But Io Iwasa, who is his teammate within Red Bull Racing within the Japanese Super Formula. Iwasa is a great racer as well. It really could have been between the two of them. It just happened to be a Kiwi that got it. Neither here nor there. I'm really rooting for you, Liam. I've seen a lot of your work. I like what you do. You're a great racer, especially last year with whatever car you were given. You were aggressive and you really fought for everything you could. Given the equipment that you had, totally for it. So, given that, let's rock and roll into 2025. Fastest teams were McLaren, seeming to be the fastest throughout testing. Red Bull does seem to have some aero struggles, especially seeing that they were third in qualifying today. I mean, Max Verstappen set some blistering times. He seemed to be really on it, and there was certain things that they were dialing in about the car. I know that yesterday he didn't really give a lot up to the press specifically about what it is that they were talking about as far as balance of the car. He said the balance of the car was fine. Everything else was good. It was just that they were lacking in certain key parts of the performance, and there was... Watching qualifying, it seemed like he was wringing this car's neck once again. Kind of like at the end of 2024, where he was just wringing this car's neck and he was controlling the car to make it do what it didn't really want to do in order for him to get these lap times. I know that there were certain points of where Liam Lawson would be on a hot lap and he was really killing it. But then towards the end of the third sector, especially as we all saw, he ran wide on one of the last turns and, ended up hitting the grass and just telling his pit crew, and as he dived into the pits, that there was just no grip on the soft tires. So it makes me curious as to what a medium and hard tire would do for him specifically as a racer. I know that every specific race car driver has their preference as to what's going to go on, what level of downforce they want. I've seen a lot of talk on the interwebs as far as welcome back Checo. And I mean, Liam Lawson is one race in. I've got a little bit more faith in him. I know he's not a rookie as far as F1 standards go, but I really think that he's gonna eventually come into his own and become more consistent as a Red Bull driver. And I'm not saying that he's going to become a Max Verstappen level driver, or to a certain degree even hold a few tenths to him, but I'm hoping that Liam Lawson will be able to at least be within the top 10 on a consistent basis to bring points to the Constructors' Championship. I mean, I'm not looking for him to be in the top 5 of championship standings as far as drivers per se, but he will bring points towards the Constructors' Championship. As far as a couple of shockers, especially within testing, and I will say within testing specifically, and even within qualifying, because Carlos Sainz was 10th and Alex Albon was 6th, was one of the reactions post-testing was Carlos Sainz saying, that he was conservative with his analysis, of Williams, specifically in the car, and I quote, and this is from motorsport.com, saying, "I'm sure you won't see me on the podium or in the top 5 this year, so don't get too motivated. But at least make sure that I haven't come to Williams to pass the time, to let the years go by, or to be in the middle of the grid. If I've come to Williams, it's to get this team moving forward, and I trust that I can do that with the first thing yesterday at least serves to show people that I'm here for it and we're going for it." Mind you, this quote was from motorsport.com at the end of testing, and this is recording at the very end of the first qualifying of Australian Grand Prix. And as I mentioned a moment ago, he ended up 10th while Alex Albon was 6th. The team of Williams in and of itself has had at least for the moment, a great push forward. The key is the consistency, and I think that they both have consistency. I mean, with all due respect to both of them, they're both former Max Verstappen killer teammates. And so they both raced under Max Verstappen. I know a lot of people have questioned Alex Albon within his ability of how good of a racer is he, since he had Nicholas Latifi, since he had Logan Sargent as teammates. Oh, you hear that outside. And having Carlos Sainz next to Alex Albon will definitely push Alex to his limits to make sure that one or the other is going to be a great race car driver. It's not more of a who's better than who. At least to me, as a person, as a fan and a watcher who's been watching for years, is okay, of the Max Verstappen teammate killers, with all due respect, which one's going to be taking the title? Because we have 2 Max Verstappen, teammates against each other at this point in time. And a lot of people have been saying that Alex Albon has been really shining, and I'm not going to shadow away from that. He's been really shining. But has he been shining under the guise of teammates that have not been able to show a candle to him? Carlos Sainz has been killed by Max Verstappen in and of himself, just like Alex Albon. But he's also shone very brightly in and of himself at Ferrari, even if it's in the shadow of Charles Leclerc, who's the golden boy in and of himself of Ferrari. Ferrari's chosen Charles Leclerc, which is fine. Charles is one of the fastest over a single lap, and he's a great race car driver. There's nothing to take away from him because he's a good car driver in himself. But the fact that they chose Lewis Hamilton over Carlos Sainz, personally, I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't know. I think you guys, I'm not saying that Ferrari messed up in that process, because Frederic Vasseur clearly knows what he's doing, by all means. But it just makes him curious, because Williams has a reputable car driver in their hands once again that might help Alex Albon bring them back into the former glory that they were. If he doesn't, neither here nor there, because even as he said, this is a building period into the 2026 rules. And a lot of teams have been catching up into the 2025 rule set. Neither here nor there. So another question that a lot of people have been having is, how big is Lewis Hamilton going to be within the Ferrari camp? Tonight, he qualified 8th against Charles Leclerc's 7th. That's pretty telling as to where the car is generally. I know that there's certain setup tweaks, this and that's between the drivers that they'll prefer. But generally, 6th and 7th, it's not damning. This is the first race of the year, first race of the 2024 race calendar, by all means. So they're going to do their thing, and they're going to at least start off getting to know the car, especially Lewis Hamilton, who's been used to a specific type of racing and a way of racing. that he's going to have to adapt himself to a different type of car. Whereas I feel, at least in the past, it was Mercedes adapting a car to his racing style. Neither here and there or there. There's no wrong or right, but Lewis Hamilton, I feel, is going to have to kind of step his game up to become the Charles Leclerc, if anything, of Ferrari. I don't think Ferrari is going to abandon Charles Leclerc for Lewis Hamilton. Like, Charles Leclerc is the golden boy of Ferrari. He has been for years, even as he said in the Drive to Survive series, is my name is Charles Leclerc, and I'm the longest holding contract holder for Ferrari in all of time. And clearly they believe in him, and everything's great. And as far as tonight goes, post Australian Grand Prix qualifying, he's still out qualifying all of his teammates, and Charles Leclerc's still killing it. So I don't have a single thing to say against him, by all means. As far as technical regulations for this upcoming year, we're not going to talk too much about it because it's been pretty late. Sporting regulations, it's pretty late. I'm not going to get into like the nitty gritty of F1 at the moment because I've been talking for a minute and it's now 12:41 a.m. As far as qualifying predictions, there's been quite a bit going on about who's going to out-qualify who, who's going to outscore who. It's the first race of the season, so I'm not going to make predictions yet. We're going to wait till tomorrow night until Andrew is here, post-race, for the post-race, I guess, analysis. For the most part, we're going to go to a commercial. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the AA podcast of Formula One. The AAF1 podcast, if you will. We have a lot of excitement going into the 2025 season. You can probably hear offside that getting a new pack of cards pulled for me right now. We're going to open this a little later in the episode. Tomorrow, for our race review, we'll be opening another pack of cards along with our AAF1 recipes review of the calendar of the entire. We're working on the cookbook in and of itself. Apologies. It's late. I'm on PST, Pacific Standard Time, considering that I've been drinking some whiskey and having a good time during qualifying. It's been a wild time, but we're going to recap a couple things real quick. Specifically, the excitement for the upcoming 2025 season, new rivalries, fresh talent, a lot of the changes that have been coming. We're going to do a quick recap of the last season's takeaways. Mercedes versus Red Bull versus Ferrari. Those seem to be the top three. Mercedes is definitely in there. After qualifying a minute ago, they're definitely a little bit on the back foot. They're not the only ones, considering they are not the only team that have a rookie running for them at the moment. I know that Kimi Antonelli put them on the back foot, but there's a couple others like Ollie Behrman who put Haas on the back foot. He had a huge crash during practice times. His other practice time, and even during qualifying, respectively, didn't have a huge effect because of his gearbox. It generally put him out for the general running. It is what it is, but we're going to see what Haas can do, because with all due respect to the rookies, they're not big on qualifying. I get that, but I'm curious to see what all of them can do within the race space in and of itself. I do apologize that I am ahead of time, that I am whispering more or less, because I do have a couple of different roommates who are doing their thing, and I don't want to disturb anyone. But aside from Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, and who looks the strongest in the front aside from McLaren, who took a 1-2, including the pole. They are locking out the front row for the Australian Grand Prix, which is something they would not have dreamt about come a couple years ago. Now they're locking out the front row with Max Verstappen in third. And Max Verstappen respectively, had a heck of a run, minus a couple of really small mistakes here and there. I mean, this is Max Verstappen we're talking about, the 4-time reigning world champion. The fact that they could lock him out of the front row, pretty big claim. But with Sunday coming up and the race day in and of itself being upon us, there's a lot of calls for Australia being a wet race, which is one of Max Verstappen's fortes. He's in first. Even if it was a dry race, I would expect him by the end of turn 1 to be second, because Lando Norris is probably going to get a hell of a start considering he's gotten a lot of bad starts from pole in 2024. He probably practiced a lot of those, so he'd be getting good starts in 2025, and I'm guessing that Max Verstappen would get that really great headway behind him, drag, respectively, not drag, but you know what I mean, to probably take third over Austria Piastri going into turn 1. Or take second, sorry. Like I said, American bourbon does a thing. So I'm really excited for the race tomorrow morning, or tomorrow night, considering I'm recording this at 12:23 PST, which is Pacific Standard Time, considering I'm in California. The other, I guess you could say, midfield battles, bar fights, as a couple other podcasters have called them, specifically Dre Harrison. Thank you, sir. Hats off to you. Red Bull, Aston Martin and Alpine. Alpine has done pretty darn well, considering I thought really Jack Doohan was going to outdo Gasly within this qualifying session, because he's one of the few hometown favorites, kind of like Oscar Piastri. He didn't do as great as we thought he was going to do, and that's okay. He ended up going, pardon my moment, but he ended up going 14th overall, considering he's still a rookie. I would have expected a little bit better from him than Q2. Actually, no, I will say Q2, he kind of hit the point. He made it out of Q3, considering he's a hometown hero. He's probably driven this a million times in the simulators or on video games, what have you, as an Australian. I mean, we all know that his dad, Jack Doohan, is a amazing, motorsport enthusiast of himself. Granted, it's on 2 wheels, not 4, but he comes from a good line of pedigree, respectively. I'm excited for him. As far as Alpine goes, I really hope he does not get the axe anytime within the middle of the season. I hope he makes the entire length. I hope he performs. I've got a lot of faith behind him. And I'm really rooting for you, Jack. Just want to let you know, really rooting for you. As is my significant other. We are both really Jack Doohan fans. As far as all the rookies go, I'm a Liam Lawson guy, because, Red Bull's admittedly my team. But if there's a quick second, Jack Doohan, you're our guy. Go out, not so much say go Alpine, but go Jack Doohan, because at this point, it's a lot of, rookies against Max Verstappen teammates, save for Williams, where it's 2 Max Verstappen teammates against each other, given Albon and Sainz. That's a whole different story, and we'll get to that in a bit. As far as midfield mayhem, there's been quite a bit of mix-up. All of a sudden, the Racing Bulls have decided to show up during qualifying in the first round, which is rather amazing. I mean, the fact that Yuki Tsunoda ended up making 5th, and with all respect to Isaac Hadjar, he made 11th. I mean, I've got everything live right here in front of me because, like I said, we're PST. It is 12:30 in the morning right now. I just finished watching qualifying, and it was an awesome qualifying session. A lot of errors being made, a lot of people waiting for the track to rubber up, and at the end it didn't really rubber up. I was really pulling for my guy Max Verstappen to take pole, knowing that he probably wouldn't, and that's okay. But notwithstanding, I figured that McLaren was going to take pole at least, because Lando Norris has just been on fire ever since the end of last season. And mind you, that's not here or there. Just Lando Norris has been on fire. But real quick, we're going to go back to some quick, pardon me, bourbon talking. Some real quick bulletins from post-testing. The fastest teams that were in preseason were McLaren. They seem to be the fastest generally throughout in Bahrain. Bahrain is a pretty technical track, nothing really close to what Albert Park is in Australia. I can't really compare the two, considering I'm not like a super hardcore technical person, and I love the technicalities of F1, but I'm not going to split hairs between every single track. I mean, we all know that a lot of teams kind of slough off, if you will, within testing as well. I mean, I know we all saw last year when Jean-Pierre was snickering and laughing through all of testing during 2023, especially, and 2024. Actually, specifically the 2024 clip that we all saw, where we all thought Red Bull was going to take it and kind of do a repeat of 2023. And then we had 7 different winners within 2023, which was like, okay, well, clearly there was a lot of bluffing there and selling, if you will, if you're a WWE or a wrestling fan, of like, they did a lot of selling of results to like really intimidate other teams, which I'm all for, by all means, all about it, because a lot of racing is, to a certain degree, if it's not physical, it's definitely head games. And I'm all about a good head game and storytelling and this, that, and the other. So some key takeaways from testing in 2025. McLaren seem to be the fastest throughout in general in Bahrain, especially from, and I will absolutely make references to the race and F1. A couple of, pardon my nomenclature, but a couple of F1 data analysis, specifically at F1 data analysis accounts via Instagram and YouTube that I do pull my data from, because I do have a full-time job. So does Andrea, when she's part of the double A aspect of it. If not, I am Ron, still the double A aspect of everything. So the main performances and key performances